Welcome to chapter 6 on prepositions and adjectives. And I want to look at the value of prepositions and adjectives in Greek. And to begin, I want to look at Greek prepositions. What are prepositions? Now, we said earlier on that a preposition is a word that shows a relationship between two words. We have examples in English there. The first one, those who dwell on the earth. The word on there is a preposition showing a relationship between two things, the people and the earth. For example, the ball went over his head. Or another example, John came with his disciples. And so, prepositions are words that show relationship between two words. And it's important to note that these prepositions work hand in hand with cases, the Greek cases that we talked about. Talk about nominative, genitive, dative, accusative. These prepositions always work hand in hand with Greek cases to give themselves meaning. To understand prepositions, let's look at the Greek prepositional chart. This is a chart that shows the prepositions that you are going to find in Greek. These words are going to be found on the vocabulary. But so that you understand them fully, I'll use this chart to explain them. And so let's start with the top. On top there you have the word meta, and meta means with. As you can see there, where the word is positioned is with the circle. And so meta is a preposition that means with. And you have epi. Epi means on or upon. And you can see where the preposition is placed there. It's placed on top of the circle. So the word means on or upon. It's upon the circle. So epi means upon the circle. And you have the word apo. Apo means from. And you can see the arrow there. The arrow is coming from the circle. It's moving from the circle. So apo means from. So when somebody says apo, they are saying from something. And then you have the word ek. Ek means out of. Ek means out of. And this is a word that is used to form the word ecclesia. The word ecclesia meaning church. And church means the people that are called out of the darkness into light. So the preposition ek means out of. And then you have the preposition kata. Kata. And kata means against. Against. As you can see, the preposition is placed against the circle. And then you have the word peri. Peri. You can see the word peri is placed around the circle, along the circle. So peri, the Greek preposition peri means around or about. And then you have the word kata. Kata. Kata can mean against or it can mean down, depending on the context. As I said, the prepositions get their definition or translation or meaning from the case that is attached to them. But kata can mean two things. It can mean against or it can mean down. And then you have the word pros. Pros. And pros means to. Pros means to or it means toward. As you can see, the arrow is approaching the circle. So that is towards the circle. It's going to the circle. So pros means to. And then you have eis. Eis means into. Eis means into. As you can see there, the arrow is going into the circle. And then you have the word dia. Dia. Dia means through. As you can see, the arrow is going through the circle. It's crossing through the circle. So the word dia means through. And then you have the word en. En. En means in. It's very simple. En, in. En, in. En means in. As you can see, the placement is inside the circle. So en means in. And so this chart, this prepositional chart, can help you to know the Greek prepositions due to the placements on the chart. You can look at the chart and look at how the prepositions are placed so that you can know the definition of the words. And so take time to know these words because they are very important in how we're going to progress. Let's look at how to translate prepositions. We're going to be looking at some phrases in Greek that show how you can apply what we've learned, that show how to translate prepositions. The first one is the phrase eis ten ge. Eis ten ge. Now, you remember that the word eis, the preposition eis, means into. And so what you have there is the preposition eis, meaning into, and we have the definite article there, ten, and then you have ge. Ge means earth or it means land. So ge means earth or it means land. So the translation of the phrase eis ten ge is into the land, into the land, the preposition being eis. And then you have the phrase apo tu nomu. Apo tu nomu means from the law, because you have the preposition apo meaning from, and then you have tu, which is the definite article there, and then you have the word nomu. You can see that the definite article always matches the case of the noun. So if the noun is in the genitive, for example, the word nomu is in the genitive. And if you remember, if the case is genitive for the noun, the definite article is going to be genitive as well. So you have the definite article matching the case of the noun. And so the translation of the phrase apo tu nomu is from the law, from the law. And so it's very important to master the paradigm for the definite article, because the definite article is used almost in every sentence. Let's look at the next one. Next one is dia, ta, ega, ton, anthropon. Dia, ta, ega, ton, anthropon. And you have the preposition dia, and you have definite article ta. Ega is coming from the word egon. And if you remember, you need to know your vocabulary. You need to know the words and what they mean for you to be able to translate prepositions or phrases. Ega is coming from the word egon, and then you have the definite article ton, anthropon. Anthropon is coming from the word anthropos, meaning man. Focus on the word anthropon. Look at the case ending. The case ending for anthropon is in the genitive. And the case ending tells you three things: that the gender is masculine, and the number is plural, and the case is genitive. And so if the number is plural, you're not going to say man, but you're going to say men. So the translation is because. Now, the because is coming from the word dia. Dia can mean because, or it can mean through. So in this case, you can say because of the works of the men. Because of the works of the men. The word of there is coming due to the word anthropon being in the genitive. Remember, the genitive has the word of, so you have the translation because of the works of the men. So the word ega is telling you three things. If you can look, the case ending is giving you three things. Number one, that the gender is neuter, and that the word itself is in the plural, and that the case is either nominative or accusative, but in this case it's nominative. And because it's in the plural, you're going to say works instead of work. So the translation is going to be through the works of the men, or because of the works of the men. Our next one is apo tu adelfu autu. Apo tu adelfu autu. The word autu means his or of him. This is a personal pronoun. We're going to look at this in the next chapter. So the word autu means his or of him. And because we've not looked at it, I've defined it for you. But the rest of the words should be known to you. We have the word apo and then tu adelfu. If you look at the word adelfu, it comes from the word adelphos. Adelphos means brother. And so if you look at the case ending, omicron upsilon, that case ending is telling you that the word adelfu has three things. Number one, the gender is masculine and the number is singular, and the case is genitive. That case ending is found in the genitive singular. And so you're going to say brother instead of brothers because the number is singular. And so you have the preposition apo, then you have the definite article, you have the noun adelfu, and then you have the personal pronoun autu. The translation of the phrase is from his brother, from his brother. But the literal translation, if you're to follow the details, it will be from of the brother of him, from of the brother of him. But that was not going to make sense in English. So you say from his brother. Instead of saying of the brother of him, you say from his brother. Another example is this: eis ton oikon pharaoh. Eis ton oikon pharaoh. And you can tell that the word pharaoh means pharaoh. The word oikon comes from the word oikos, meaning house. And so knowing the vocabulary is very important, because if you don't know the vocabulary, If you don't know what the words mean, you can't translate the phrases. So it's very important that in each lecture you take note of the vocabulary and you know it by heart. And so two things are important when you're dealing with translation: knowing the paradigms and knowing the vocabulary. And so here you have the preposition is, and is means into. So when you're translating the entire phrase, it's going to be into the house of Pharaoh. Into the house of Pharaoh. A literal translation should have been into the house Pharaoh. Into the house Pharaoh. But that is not going to make sense in English, so you say into the house of Pharaoh. The next one is eis ton oikon kai ten thuran tu oiku. Eis ton oikon kai ten thuran tu oiku. And the word thuran there means door. You have not looked at it, so I've defined it for you. The word thuran means door. The rest of the words are known to you. And so you have the preposition eis, meaning into, and the definite article ton, and you have the noun oikon from the word oikos, meaning house, and you have the conjunction kai, meaning and, you have the definite article there, thuran meaning door, definite article there, oiku. And if you look at the word oiku, it's in the genitive singular, from the word oikos. And if you translate the word oiku, it's of house, of house. And so when you're translating the entire phrase, you're going to have into the house, eis ton oikon, and the door of the house, kai ten thuran, and the door, kai ten thuran, tu oiku, of the house, tu oiku, of the house, into the house, and the door of the house. That's how you translate the phrase. And so I hope it's becoming clear on how you translate the phrases and how you use prepositions. 3 things to note about prepositions and how you memorize prepositions. Number 1, that chart that I gave you, the prepositional chart, is going to help you in knowing the prepositions and what they mean. Secondly, the vocabulary is very important, because if you don't know what the words mean, you're not going to translate them correctly. And lastly, sometimes the meaning of the prepositions will be affected by the case. So you look at the case before you translate. Sometimes the case affects the meaning of the prepositions. We now look at Greek adjectives. If you remember in our past lectures, we said the word adjective is a word that modifies a noun or a pronoun. To modify is to add meaning, to enhance meaning. The question that the adjective answers is this: what kind of action, what kind of noun is it? For example, if you talk about a man, what kind of man is it? Is it a tall man? Is it a slim man? Is it a short man? So those are adjectives. They modify nouns or pronouns. Now in English as well as Greek, adjectives have 3 major functions, and these 3 major functions need to be known, they need to be mastered. The first one is that the adjective is used in attributive function. And when we say attributive, we're saying that the adjective gives quality or attribute. It gives meaning to nouns. And this is the normal function of the adjectives, to give meaning and attribute to nouns. For example, he studied ancient Hebrew. What kind of Hebrew did he study? He studied ancient Hebrew. The word ancient there is an adjective. It's functioning in the attributive way, adding meaning to the noun being Hebrew. And so he studied ancient Hebrew, and ancient being the adjective there. It's modifying, it's giving more meaning to the word Hebrew. And so when you have an adjective that is adding more meaning to a noun, we say that that is functioning in the attributive way. The second function is that the adjective can act as a substantive, meaning that the adjective is going to act as a noun. So every time the adjective is acting as a noun, we say it's acting as a substantive. For example, in the example there, the good die young. The word good there is acting as a substantive, as a noun. So instead of modifying a noun, the adjective itself is acting as a noun. The good die young. So that's an example of a substantive. A third function of the adjective is in the predicate, where the adjective modifies the subject of the sentence or adds more meaning to the subject of the sentence. For example, in the word, she is young. We're talking about her being young. The word young is an adjective that is modifying the subject of the sentence. And most of the times when the adjective is acting predicately, you're going to have the linking verb. The word is there is a linking verb. So you have the three functions. The first one is that adjective can act in the attributive. And the second one, the adjective itself can function as a noun in the sentence. And that is in the substantive. And the third one is that the adjective can function predicately, meaning modifying the subject of the sentence. For example, she is young. The word young there is adjective, modifying the word she, adding more meaning to the subject of the sentence. Now, adjectives in Greek have their own paradigms. And so if you need to know adjectives, you need to know this paradigm because this is how adjectives are built. But the good part is this, you already know this paradigm because this is the paradigm that we use for nouns in the first and second declension. This is the one that is used there. And so adjectives use the same paradigm for nouns to build its own paradigm. And so the only thing that you do is that you add the stem to those endings. You add the stem to the same endings that you already know. So if you know the paradigm for the nouns, you already know the adjective paradigm. But the question would be, why does the word good or adjective agathos appear in all the genders? For example, agathos is appearing in the masculine, feminine, and neuter. Remember we said nouns only have one gender. But this is not a noun, this is an adjective. And so adjectives can appear in all the three genders. They can appear in the masculine, in the feminine, and in the neuter. And this is important because adjectives must agree with the noun it is modifying in GNC, in gender, number, and case. And so adjectives behave like the definite article. They must appear in all the three genders because they must agree with the noun that is modifying. For example, the word agathos or the word good can be attached to a noun that is in the neuter. And so it needs to have neuter endings. The word good can modify a feminine noun, and so it needs to be in the feminine. And that's why the word good is appearing in all the three genders, because adjectives must agree with the noun it modifies in GNC, in case, gender, and number. But let's look at what this paradigm implies. This is how you conjugate the word agathos or the word good. For example, in the masculine, you have agathos, agathu, agatho, agathon, agathoi, agathon, agathois, agathaos. Remember, you have the singular endings on top there, and you have the plural endings down there. Agathos means good in the singular. Remember, the word agathos is the adjective good, and in the genitive it means of good. In the dative it means to good. In the accusative it means good. Accusative and nominative are translated in the same way, but the function, the meaning is different. And then you have the plural. In the plural is agathoi, which means good, still good. There's no goods, so the plural is going to have the same translation because there's no goods. It's still good. And so these translations apply in the feminine as well as neuter. The most important thing here is that this is a paradigm that you need to know. If you have not mastered it yet, you need to know it. And that adjectives in Greek must agree with the noun that they modify in case, gender, and number. To understand how Greek adjectives work, we're going to look at the three functions, but look at Greek examples. For example, we say the first function of an adjective is to work in the attributive way. And we have the example there, ho agathos logos. Remember, the word agathos means good. And so you have the phrase ho agathos logos, meaning the good word. Logos means word, agathos means good, and ho means there. So you have the good word. And we said every time the adjective is modifying a noun, it's working that attributive function. And the clue to knowing that the adjective is in the attributive is that the adjective is going to have the definite article. So when the adjective is having the definite article, it's in the attributive. For example, in that case, you have ho agathos logos. And so the adjective is having the word there, the definite article there. And so that is the key to knowing the attributive. Another example is this, ho poimen ho kalos. Ho poimen ho kalos, meaning the good shepherd. The word for shepherd there is poimen. Poimen means shepherd. And so you have the word ho kalos. Kalos means good. And kalos is having the definite article. And we said every time you have the definite article next to the adjective is working in the attributive function, meaning that it's adding meaning to the noun. In this case, shepherd, the good shepherd. What kind of a shepherd? It's a good shepherd. And so remember what we said, adjectives must agree in gender, number, and case with the noun that they modify. The other function we looked at is the predicate, where the adjective is modifying the subject in the sentence. And the key to knowing the adjective in the predicate function is this, that the adjective is not going to have the definite article, so you have no article in the predicate. But in the attributive, you have the article. In the predicate, you have no article. For example, you have the phrase, ho anthropos agathos estin. Ho anthropos agathos estin. The man is good. The man is good. Agathos meaning good. Now, as you can see, the definite article is on the word anthropos and not agathos. On the adjective agathos, you don't have the definite article. And so whenever you realize that the adjective has no definite article, the adjective is functioning as a predicate. It's in the predicate function. Another one that we said, the third one that we said, is the substantive. And here we said that there's not going to be a noun in the sentence because the adjective is going to function as a noun. For example, we have the sentence, hoi de dikoio eis zoen aionon, meaning, and the righteous unto eternal life. The word righteous is dikoio, it means righteous, and that is the adjective in the sentence. And that adjective is functioning as a noun in the sentence. And whenever the adjective is standing as a noun in the sentence, it's in the substantive. We said that whenever the definite article is there, the adjective is in the attributive. Before we wrap up, let's look at degrees of comparison. There's what we call degrees of comparison for adjectives. Adjectives have 3 degrees of comparison. We have the positive degree, we have the comparative degree, and the superlative degree. But let's look at what all these mean. The first one being the positive degree. The positive degree is where the adjective is showing no comparison, where you're not comparing the adjective with another, you're just stating or modifying a noun. For example, in the word ho sophos anea. Ho sophos anea. The word sophos means wise. That's the adjective there. The word sophos means wise. It comes from the word Sophia, the Greek word Sophia, and Sophia means wisdom. So you have the word ho sophos anea. And that phrase means the wise man. The word wise or sophos there is the adjective. And the adjective there is in the positive degree. The positive degree is used when you're not showing comparison. For example, when you say, this man is wiser than the other, that one is showing comparison. But when you say the man is wise, you're not showing comparison. So when you're using an adjective but not showing comparison, it's in the positive degree. Another phrase, another example is, he sophei gune. He sophei gune, meaning the wise woman. Gune means woman. Anea means man, gune means woman. Sophie again comes from the word sophos, meaning wise. So you have the word he sophie gune. You can see that when you're talking about feminine noun, even the adjective is in the feminine. When you're talking about the masculine noun, the adjective is going to be in the masculine. And so the word wise, the wise woman, the word wise is in the positive degree, meaning it's showing no comparison. You're just stating that the woman is wise. And this is the basic form of the adjective. Most of them are going to be in the positive degree, showing no comparison. But then we have the comparative degree. Comparative degree is used when you want to show comparison between 2 things or 2 people. For example, you have the phrase, ho sophoteros anea. Ho sophoteros anea. And the adjective there is sophoteros, meaning wiser. So this is in the comparative because you're showing comparison between 2 things. The wiser man, or this man is wiser than that one. You're showing comparison. And most of the times, comparative adjectives are going to end with teros. For example, the adjective there is sophoteros, is ending with teros. The ending is going to be teros. If the adjective is in the comparative degree, the ending is going to be teros. That's how you tell a comparative degree from a superlative degree. Because a superlative degree will end with tatos, comparative degree is going to end with teros. And so coming to the superlative degree is used to show the highest level. When you want to show the greatest or the greater part, you use the superlative degree. For example, you have the phrase, ho sophotatos anea. Ho sophotatos anea, meaning the wisest man. The wisest man. So this is the highest level that you can get. The wisest man. And we say that the difference between the comparative degree and the superlative degree is that comparative is going to end with teros. The adjective is ending with teros, In the superlative, the adjective is ending with tatos. For example, you have sophotatos and nea. The adjective being sophotatos, ending with tatos. That shows you that the adjective is in the superlative degree, the highest level. While we're talking about adjectives and degrees, let me share an exegetical insight on this, on the superlative degree. You have the verse in Ephesians 3 verse 20 where Paul says, "Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly beyond all that we ask or imagine." The verse says, "Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly beyond all that we ask or imagine." The adjective is the one that is being translated far more abundantly. That word is one in Greek, far more abundantly. And that word there is in the superlative. That adjective there that is being used there is in the superlative degree. So Paul doesn't just say that God can do more. He intensifies to say God can do beyond, out of the abundance of more than we ask or think. So Paul is trying to say is that God's power is limitless. It goes to the highest level of providing for your need. That's why Paul says, God, now to him who is able to do far more abundantly beyond all that we ask or think. The adjective is in the superlative, showing the highest level of degree, the highest level of authority, the highest level of power, a limitless God. So Paul is saying our God that we serve is limitless because he puts the adjective in the superlative. So this is just some of the insights that will come with you understanding Greek and how adjectives work. So it's very important for you to understand how adjectives work and their degrees of comparison. As we wrap up, let's look at some of the words in chapter 6. The first one is apo, and we said apo is a preposition. It means from. The other one is dia, meaning through, as if you're cutting through something. And the next preposition is eis, meaning into. Next one is ek means out of. Next one is en means in. Next one is epi means on or over. Next one is kata means against, can mean against or down. Next one is meta means with, it means with. Next one is peri means about or it can mean concerning. Also peri can mean around, depending on the case that is being used, it can mean around. Next one is pros means to or towards. Another word is agathos, and these are now adjectives. Agathos means good. Next word is agapetos. Agapetos means beloved, comes from the word agape. Agape means love. So agapetos is an adjective meaning beloved, from the word agape, and agape means love. Next word is aionios. Aionios, meaning eternal or everlasting. Next word is kakos. Kakos means evil, it means bad, it means wicked. So kakos means bad. Another word is nekros. Nekros means dead. Another word is pistos. Pistos means faithful, it means trustworthy, or it means believing. It comes from the word pistis, meaning faith. So pistos means faithful, coming from the word pistis, meaning faith. So pistos is an adjective that means faithful. Protos means first. That's why we get the word protocol, meaning following order. Protos means first. It's an adjective. So these are some of the words that you need to know in chapter 6. Please go through these words and make sure you know them by heart, because knowing vocabulary is very important in helping you know Greek at large, as well as you being able to translate phrases or sentences. Practice, and God bless.